Week 11 NHL player stat leaders. Now, this is the second time I'm doing this segment. It usually comes out in the weekend, and it will continue to after this. On Sunday, I released a new segment similar to this one called NHL Team Stat Leaders, which you'll be able to find in my playlist there. That one I'm going to swap with this and do between Tuesday and Thursday during the week. You may have also noticed I've stopped doing game reviews. For now, anyways, I'm thinking if I want to continue doing them or if I want to do them yet in a somewhat different visual format. We'll see how that turns out. The Christmas holidays are almost upon us, so things are a little up in the air. I'm still new to this. I only started in October on YouTube, so in any case, enough of me blabbing. There's my Christmas hat. Like it? Let's get to the board. All right, so we're starting off here with points. Obviously, looks like Rantanen, McKinnon, Kucherov, McDavid, Scheifele, Eichel, all the usual suspects. Marner and Braden Point have fallen off this list and sort of replaced with Mark Scheifele and Jack Eichel. But when I go through the honorable mention for points, at number 6, we've got Johnny Gaudreau with 45 points. And tied for 7th, there's a three-way tie. We have Braden Point, Mitchell Marner, and Blake Wheeler. Let's move on to goals, the really fun category. Looking at this, what do we have here? Again, there's a few different names on the top 5 going here. John Tavares is new. Landeskog is new. Skinner, Ovechkin, and Laine are different. Ovi taking over that number 1 spot, obviously. In 1 week, since I did this last, he scored 8 more goals. Amazing. And Cam Atkinson isn't on this list anymore, as well as Nathan McKinnon or Pasternak. Pasternak fell off this as well. However, when we get to the honorable mention page, we find tied for John Tavares at number 5 there are quite a few players. We've also got Nathan McKinnon, Mark Scheifele, Braden Point, David Pasternak, and Joe Pavelski, all tied with John Tavares for 21 goals. Next up, we've got the assists column. Let's take a look at this here. This one I drew a little bit bigger. I figured I usually do, I think anyways. I had 7 on the list, but there was a lot of ties, as you can see here. Rantanen still leads the group there. Blake Wheeler and Nikita Kucherov have kind of bumped Mitch Marner off the lead. Jack Eichel was there before. Nicholas Backstrom has made his way onto that list, as has Jonathan Huberdeau and Connor McDavid as well. We can go to sort of an honorable mention for assists here. John Carlson of the Washington Capitals and Brent Burns of the San Jose Sharks. Sorry, I just noticed I haven't been mentioning teams. I guess I just assumed you guys know who all these stars play for, but I'll try to remember that. We also have a two-way tie for or sixth, which is Claude Giroux and Mark Giordano with 29 assists each. Next up, the power play goals. Laine, Pasternak, Point, Ovechkin, Monahan, Kucherov, Rantanen, Scheifele, Landeskog, and Barkov. I made a much bigger list this week. All those guys are basically still in the same place. From Laine down to Monahan there, those are all the same players. Short-handed goals. Now, I made this list so short because it's so early in the season, and really this hasn't really changed much. Michael Grabner, Richardson, Eakin was already on there. Cirelli has worked his way onto that list. And I'm not going to go over the honorable mention here. There's a ton of guys tied at just 2 goals. So let's just move on to total on ice per game statistics. Now, I did starting. Okay, who do we got here? Doughty from the Kings, Jones from the Jackets, Letang, Pittsburgh, Suter from the Wild, Ristolainen from Buffalo. This all looks pretty similar. I just expanded this list. None of these are surprises. These are all defensemen, right? I mean, these are the guys. These are your number one defensemen who play a ton of minutes. It's also a pretty good indication of who the Norris Trophy is going to go to. Obviously, it's a mix mash of total on ice per game and points. They kind of take those two things and pick someone. Next up, face-off win percentage. Here we are. It's Ryan O'Reilly, Spezza, Claude Giroux, Lowry, Taves, Stahl, Getzlaff, Glendening, and Lindholm. Maybe a bit of some of the surprises go to Glendening from the Detroit Red Wings there. He's a fourth-line winger for the Detroit Red Wings, centerman. He also plays wing, I believe, but he's amazing at the face-off circle. I think he's got two more, I'm going to say 1 or 2 more years left on his term with about 1.3 million, something like that. I heard the last season, towards the end of last season, the Toronto Maple Leafs were trying to make a trade for him, and the deal didn't go through. But look for Detroit maybe to ship him out of town if they can get anything worthwhile for him. We'll see. Elias Lindholm he's in that face-off. Now, of course, he's playing wing on the first line in Calgary right now, but he is a natural center. So he's probably swapping out with Monahan and taking the face-offs and then moving back to his wing position. At 56.17. I mean, when you're skating on one of the top line and probably one of the most fierce lines in the league right now, I would definitely say they're in the top 5. But Gaudreau, Monahan, and Lindholm, they're becoming one of those super lines like in Colorado and in Boston. Having an excellent face-off man can't hurt. Next up, we have the shooting percentage. This is really interesting because I made my rule for this was you had to play at least 20 games to get on this list and have at least 25 shots on net. So at least a little over 1 shot a game on net. I don't think that's too much to ask. For the most part, it's the usual suspects on this list, but there are a couple of guys, especially for you poolies out there, who you might want to take a flyer, who are doing really well this season, who aren't going to be shooting this high the entire hockey season per se, but they're hot right now. And I'm speaking specifically of Shiason at number 1 there, Cody Eakin at number 5, and even Philippa Valtteri at number 3. Although with those guys like Eakin and Valtteri, we're talking about 18 to 20 points that they have so far this season. So it's not like they've pelted a lot of shots on that. They've just hit that probably that 25. Broke my 25 rule there. But in any case, yeah. Moving on to the goalies. Let's talk about goalies. Pekka Rinne, he's still up there. Koskinen is still there. Unbelievable. David Riddick, if you haven't picked him up already in your pool and he's available, or you can trade for him for cheap, get him. Jack Campbell, of course, sort of barely made this list because he only played 13 games so far this year, and we're like 34, 35 games in. And he's injured at the moment. I want to say he tore his meniscus, and he's going to be out for a while. So Quick is healthy, so you never know though. The goalie carousel, the LA goalie situation has turned into a bit of a carousel situation there. So Halak is still hot. Halak's still on that list. Bishop has been looking good. Vasilevsky, look for him to slowly move up. I want to say he has about maybe 17, 18 games under his belt so far this season. So you might even see that. You might even see him climb that list. Let's talk about save percentage. Number 1, Andrei Vasilevsky, bam! He gets on that list at a .930. Now, who was on my save percentage? I'm looking at save percentage from last week. Halak was up there. He was number one. He's been bumped off the number one spot. Pekka Rinne has fallen a little bit. Cal Peterson has completely disappeared for that. He was the backup goaltender from LA's AHL team when both Quick and Campbell were injured at the same time. He was playing a lot of games, and he was good. I mean, maybe he had, one stinker there, but for the most part, he's definitely got a future, it looks like. But he's off that list. Jimmy Howard, he's a bit of a surprise to be on there, somewhat. And he's a good candidate to be traded as well before the trade deadline. Casey DeSmith, even though Pittsburgh is slowly crawling their way out of the basement there, and if it wasn't for Casey DeSmith, because Murray hasn't been doing great and he's been in and out of the IR all season so far, he's been surprisingly good. He's been keeping them in games. Next up, wins. Win category. Marc-Andre Fleury and Frederik Andersen continue to dominate this. John Gibson, the Ducks have been doing really good recently. There's 4 guys tied at the number 4 spot. We have like we have a tie for number 5 with 13 wins, and that's Carey Price, Jacob Markstrom from the Vancouver Canucks, Carter Hutton from the Buffalo Sabres. He was injured for a little while, so otherwise his numbers would probably be higher. Sergei Bobrovsky has sort of fallen off that list from before. He's at number 13 as well, and so is Brayton Holtby for the Washington Capitals. Washington is kind of the best team in the league right now. Yeah, if you haven't noticed. Last category we have here is the shutouts. Marc-Andre, what is there to say here? That really has not changed much at all. I don't think that's really enough said. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you got some Hockey Geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You're probably not going to see me again until between December 28th and the 30th, I want to say. Be safe, everybody, and I'll see you soon.